Morning, Mark.
Morning, Graham.
Oh, what's with the gloves?
Oh, it's funny you should ask that. We've just had our delivery of Christmas trees in, and so I'm just sorting the sizes out and ready for sale.
Now, there's a novelty. I'm looking for a Christmas tree, actually, so that's a good thing. You got them in. What is the best Christmas tree to buy?
Well, it really depends on what you're looking for. There are three basic choices of Christmas tree. There's your traditional Norway spruce, which has been around for years and years. The more popular one these days is the Nordman, which is actually the low needle drop. Quite a broad spreading tree. And also one that not many people know about is the Fraser fir, which is a very, very narrow tree, but the same low needle drop.
Right.
So the Nordman and the Fraser are good if you want low needle drop. Norway spruce if you want the traditional type and the smell, because it obviously gives off a lot of sprucey smell.
Well, do you think it's all right to have a look at these?
Yeah, of course you can. I mean, this we've got two. I mean, obviously, it depends on the size you want, but just to give you an idea of what the shapes of the trees are like, we've got the Norway spruce. This is the traditional one. Because I'm an expert, and I'll say that quite happily.
Yes, mate, you certainly are. We've known that before.
I can tell by looking at the tree and feeling the weight of the tree that this is going to be a great bushy tree. Now, this is going to be really embarrassing if this is a poor tree, but I'm confident this is going to be okay. So
I'll trust you, Mark.
It's just a quick matter of just taking the netting off. And the reason I've got the gloves on is because this one is particularly spiky, the Norway spruce. Just a bit.
I will just wonder why you got the gloves on, Mark.
Yeah, they tend to be quite spiky, these, to the touch. They tend to have quite a lot of sap as well, which is quite sticky, so it's just nice to... I do a lot of handling a tree, so it's nice to have gloves on. You don't really need to do it with the Norway, the Nordmans or the Frasers, because they're quite a soft one. But as you can see, that's kind of a perfect tree, but I could feel that, I could tell that, and from the shape and how weighty it was. It goes right the way from here, tapers right the way up. There's no missing tiers in that tree, so that would be a great tree to have. A good example of a Norway spruce. Like I say, this is a traditional one. If you have these in a very warm room, you know, central heating or a gas fire or something like that, these tend to drop quite happily. So they need to be in a cold conservatory or in a room that's not heated, with artificial heating or anything like that.
Right.
A good tip as well with any of the trees, regardless of whether it's Norway spruce or Nordman or Frasers, is when you buy the tree, you'll get a cut stump like that. I mean, normally where you buy them from, I mean, we do it where we cut the bottom branches off to suit the stand, take a thin slither off the end of the stump there. That'll just freshen the trunk up, and it will take up a lot of moisture. So plenty of water, fresh water on a regular basis. Keep topping it up, because you'll be surprised actually how much these will take up the water, and obviously that will help with needle retention and the smell, because it does give off a very, very nice smell. Just put that down. It's actually giving off quite a nice smell now,
isn't it? It's like...
And a little tip, this is a handy tip to have, and again, a lot of people don't know about this tip, but it's just my little tip. With fresh water, it's great giving it fresh water. Now, some people put bleach in the water, which I don't recommend. Yeah, I don't recommend that, because if you've got a nice carpet and nice polished floor, it might damage the floor. What I recommend is using Milton, you know, the bottle sterilising fluid. Pour a capful of that in the water, gets rid of all the bacteria that's in the water, because it's actually the bacteria in the water that quickly destroys a tree and makes it defoliate.
Right.
It's actually the build-up of bacteria, and the tree takes up that bacteria and kills the tree quicker than what it would if it was just fresh water all the time.
That's why I love doing this programme, Mark, because guaranteed every month we're going to learn something new.
Yeah, well, it's a good tip. It's one that my mum's been using for years and years, and it just works a tree. I mean, even a Norway spruce, which she always goes for the traditional type, very rarely loses its needles till well after Christmas, so it's a good tip to have. Milton every time you top up with fresh water, and it keeps the needles lovely. So we'll put that one on the floor there, because it is a very, very good tree, that.
Looks nice, but just something I'm not looking for, really. Yeah. I need something more narrow.
Yeah, the Fraser is a very, very good tree to use. This is a Fraser fir. Now, it's quite a coarse needle, very, very soft to touch. But this one is going to be quite narrow compared with the Nordman. But again, I'll just show you what the shapes are. It's a very, very quick job to do. Just take off the netting for you. And so, if we compare, this one is a very, very dense, bushy tree, quite upright, but it's not very wide, whereas the Norway spruce tends to be a little bit wider than this. Different colour needles as well, nice bluey green, easy to hang decorations on, but it's great for a modern house because it's not too wide. A lot of modern houses tend to be smaller rooms, and you don't want a really big, huge, gaping tree. So a Fraser is slowly becoming more popular, and more people are using Frasers than even Nordmans, which have been the traditional one that people want for low needle drop. So Fraser fir, low needle drop, narrow, dense growth, and just a great looking tree. So that's the Fraser fir.
And is it same at the bottom?
Exactly the same. Even though this is a low needle drop tree, it'll be wise to take off a slither of stump just to suck up the water. And you'll be surprised actually how much water it does take up, even though it's a low needle drop tree. Right. Again, it helps with the smell as well, because this also gives off a certain amount of smell. So that's nice. So the last tree of our trio is the
trio of trees.
Yeah, is the Nordman. Now, I've gone and picked that one, and looking at that, that's going to be quite a narrow tree. So let me just find a one that's going to be a little bit more bushier, and I'll show you the difference between the two, the Fraser and the Fraser and the Nordman, because it's quite easy when you've got them side by side. You can see the differences, and this is going to be a 6-foot tree, which is the most popular size for a. Now, as you can see, I mean, this is yet to drop, because the branches obviously drop a lot further down because they've been wrapped up.
That's nice.
It's a nice tree.
It is nice.
It's
Looks
even
nice.
Right the way up to the very, very top. Again, it's that coarse needle, so very, very soft, so it's great for kids. It's not going to hurt kids. If it does lose a few needles, because it is low needle drop, the only tree, you know, people come in and say, can I have a non-needle drop tree, and the only one is a plastic one. But if these fall off the tree and you're walking downstairs in the dark, you're not going to pick them up in your feet. So they're quite a nice tree to have. And this is the one that most people think of as the low needle drop tree. But with the Nordman, you get these quite wide tiers, which is again nice for a Christmas tree, great for hanging decorations on. And very, very wide. You see, there's quite a big difference between these. But if you want to just hold that one for me, Graham, and I'll show you the difference between the growth.
Different in the, like you say, different in the branches, different in the leaves, isn't there?
Yeah, that was a lot larger needle. This is a shorter needle, but you can see this growth is very, very dense and compact. And a lot narrower than the Nordman. So it really depends on what you. They're all three of them are great shapes. So it really depends on what you need for your house. You know, whether you can support something of that size and that width, or whether you go for something a little bit more manageable, like a Fraser. But like I say, again with the Nordman. Take a slither off the base. These all go in stands. They don't need to go. People trying to put buckets and bricks and things like that. It's far easier and safer using a bracket where you screw the screws into the trunk, and it keeps it a lot more stable. And a lot more stands these days you can actually put water into to help with the needle retention. But as you can see, that's a lovely tree, and it's just tall enough so you can get the fairy on the top. So yeah, beautiful tree, and that's this one's a Nordman. So it's Nordman there, Fraser, which is the narrow, compact one, and then if I can manage it, I'll pick up the Norway spruce just to give you a comparison of all three. The Norway spruce is a lot lighter green, and a great smell, and the traditional Christmas tree shape, Fraser and Nordman. So
a lot sharper needles.
A lot sharper needles. You really do need gloves for this one, and it will lose quite a few needles during the Christmas time, so you will find those in the bottom of your feet if you're not too careful. So I'm not a fan of the Norway spruce, the traditional one, but you know, people do like to go traditional, and we do sell quite a few of those.
Personally, I prefer the is it the Nordman?
The Nordman, very good.
Yeah,
we're learning.
Have we got anything smaller?
The smaller, yeah. If you wanted something a little bit smaller, I've just got one just here. This is a popular thing to. We'll just plonk that just there. It's not going to take any harm. This is actually a Nordman tree with roots on. So if you've got an even smaller spot there, you can use one of these with roots, and you can keep this for next year if you're very, very lucky. As long as you don't have it in a too warm room and it doesn't damage the roots, you can plant that in your garden and dig it up again next year. Because actually what you should do is leave it in the pot, create a hole and sink it in the ground with the pot on. So for next year, it's actually easier to lift it up again, you know, having to chop through roots and damage the plant. And this will grow probably another foot or so next year, so you've got a slightly bigger tree. It makes a wonderful Christmas tree, and just a nice feature in the garden. You know, after Christmas, it's a nice pine to have in the garden, very, very attractive with the bluey-green needles. So, but that's one with roots on. So you can buy these. The ones with roots on tend to be blue spruce, which are a very, very silvery blue colour, and with roots on, so they tend to retain the needles. It's very rare to get them with a Nordman with roots on, because they tend to be quite pricey, but this one's not too bad. But that makes a very nice, compact Christmas tree, and if you've only got a small corner in the room, in the lounge, that's just ideal for that.
And like you say, soft and tender to the touch.
Yeah,
needles.
And another point, because obviously most people do have lights on the tree. The way that most people go these days is LED lights. The great thing about LED lights, obviously, the benefit of having low power usage, but also they don't have a drying effect on Christmas trees. The old style bulb lights used to dry them out and used to get a worse effect with needle drop.
Right.
So the new style lights are the LEDs. I've got two sorts here. The one that you've got is the one that's main use. LED lights, they also tend to give you a much brighter light, which I actually like. It's a lot more sort of Christmassy, a lot more intense light, but obviously you get very, very low power usage, so you can happily leave them on all night. They won't heat the tree up. They're not a problem for your energy bills. And the great thing about also LED lights, as opposed to the glass ones, every year when I used to bring the old glass lights out, there used to be bulbs gone, and you always have to have a trip down to go and get replacement bulbs. LED lights last for years and years, I mean up to 20 years. That's the main ones that you've got there, and I've got, these are new, these are solar LED. And the great thing about solar is they get powered up with an internal battery, and they've got a timer on, so or electric, I think it's called electric leaf, where as soon as it goes dark, the lights come on, which is perfect. Yeah. So, and they can stop on happily all night because they're just using the power from the sun. And these will charge up happily even on overcast days, but you get that nice vivid white light effect just from solar power. So, and it's perfect. It's great for just having a tree outside where you haven't got a mains point or outside socket. So good.
I think they're absolutely fantastic invention, solar powered lights.
They are. They're just perfect, and they lend themselves to having them on Christmas trees, especially outdoor Christmas trees.
Okay, Mark, that's. I think I've known my best Christmas tree to buy now.
Good.
Thank you very much. Right, what's plant of the month? Have we got one?
Well, with the time of the year, it's generally there's not really a plant of the month. We've done plants of the month all the way through the year. It's just simply Christmas trees. So it would simply be jobs of the month.
Okay, so we're winter biting in now.
Yeah.
What can we do?
Well, simply protect any tender plants. You know, hopefully you would have brought them in by now. With the weather starting to go a little bit frosty in most mornings, bring any tender plants into a greenhouse, frost-free greenhouse or frost-free garage or something like that, which is always a good idea. Make sure that you've lagged all your outside pipes and got rid of all the excess water in hose pipes and things like that. Stops them from splitting. And what we've been talking about today with the Christmas trees is make sure you top up with fresh water. You know, check on it almost on a daily basis, and really it depends on the size of tree how much water they take up. So check on a daily basis how much water they're taking up, and remember, you know, that little cap full of Milton will help retain the needles as well.
Brilliant.
So yeah, just a few jobs of the month, and just maintenance of your Christmas tree, really.
Okay. Do you get out in the garden much in the winter?
Well, I try to extend the season if the weather's good. I mean, I like to get out in the garden because it's even though it's dark, you can still get out there. You know, and there's plenty of light. If you've got light in the garden, using the LED lights that we're talking about, that's always nice. Dressing up trees, not just Christmas trees, but ordinary trees and bushes. Dress those up with lights. Makes it quite a magical time of the year. You know, when it's a little bit frosty and cold. If you've got yourself a fire bowl or a brazier or a chimney, you know, sitting outside with that going, blazing away, there's nothing nicer than having a hot cup of chocolate or something like that sat out, or just whiling away the time, you know, looking at the fire. I love looking at a fire pit blazing away in winter time. There's nothing better.
Looks very inviting, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And it's just trying to. You don't have to stop gardening really, or stop enjoying your garden at this time of year. Just try and make the most of it, and try and introduce a bit more light into the garden, so you're able to do that.
There you go, fantastic. And so if people want to get in touch with you in the future, how do they go about it?
Well, the simplest way is by telephone, which is Derby 01332 700 800. Or there's our email address, which is info@swarkestonenursery.co.uk, remembering the E in Swarkestone. And you can find us on our website, which is www.swarkestonenursery.co.uk, remembering the E in Swarkestone.
That all-important E, Mark, isn't it?
It is, it's very important. But we've also got a Facebook page, which we do a lot of updates, and you can find out what we've got in, what we're up to, and you simply type in the search bar in Facebook, Swarkestone Nursery. We come up, and you can see our page, you can see the restaurant page as well, but we do a lot of updates, lots of new pictures there, so it's updated on a very regular basis, that's basically it, really. If you want to contact me, if you've got any problems with any plants in the garden, you know, remember to contact me. My name's Mark Smith, and I'll be able to give you advice over the phone, or even if you want to send me a few pictures via email, that's a lot easier as well.
And if you're regulars to watching this programme, you know that advice will be brilliant. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.